The 9 Years Podcast.
Hello, you are listening to episode 17 of the 9 Years Podcast, the weekly AFC Wimbledon audio fanzine with two resident Neil Ardley fanboys, myself, Nick Draper, and Stuart Deakins, of course. We thank you for listening today, whether it be on iTunes, YouTube, or Podomatic.com. Stuart, I understand you've been a free man over the past couple of nights with your fiancée away on business, I believe.
On business, yeah. She's on training, so it's quite nice. I've managed to have a couple of evenings playing FIFA on the Xbox One, and just generally just answering to myself, which has been nice, really. But I look forward to her when she returns, as, to be fair, I've had to cook my own stuff, which is not good.
How hard is it to press those numbers on the phone when you're cooking?
It is, but you just get used to it, don't you? Do you know what I mean? And in all fairness, I cook as much as my fiancée does. But yeah, I've had a couple of nights while she's been training up in North Wales, so I'm sure she'll come back with a bit of an accent.
With all due respect to North Wales, what could they possibly be training? Well, anyway, let's not go down that line of questioning. I'd just be glad to hear that she's got running water and electricity wherever she is staying, or wherever she was staying. Because we're recording this after the fact, of course, not before. Moving on. Now, there are two topics of conversation that always come up at this time of year, Stuart. I must admit, one of them is really beginning to bug me, or both are, to be honest with you. Number one, I'm constantly amazed how people continue to be surprised by how early it gets dark at this time of year.
Yeah.
People just continually say to me, look how dark it's getting. Yeah, it happens every year at this time of year. About 4:30 it gets dark, alright? This is not coming as a surprise to you unless you're 6 years old, okay? And you don't have that memory retention just yet. Anyway, the other thing is, of course, we're now in Advent, apparently. I don't know if you knew this.
In Advent?
In Advent. I know, again, this is a conversation that happens every year, so I'm sort of being a little bit hypocritical by complaining about this, but I believe that this is the year where Advent calendars have actually changed for the first time. We now have about 50 days on them. To 50 days of Advent calendar doors to open and windows to open, because it is November, whatever date we are today, 17th, 19th, and Christmas is in full swing.
Well, I can understand that, but does that mean then that the kids get a chocolate every day for 50 days up until Christmas?
Yeah, because it's symptomatic of our growing obesity problem in young children.
And of course, the schools will obviously send them a letter to their home address to say, your kid's obese, oh, by the way, he hasn't opened up his Advent calendar yet.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is a little bit, but hey, let's enjoy Christmas. I'm glad that the run into Christmas is in full swing, as I won't be here. So, yeah, let's get Christmas here, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it.
I do love Christmas, do not get me wrong, and once we do actually hit proper Advent, this show will be reflecting the fact that it's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. But it still seems far too early. We've only just got Halloween and fireworks night and all that out of the way, so...
Well, I was saying that, to be fair, Nick, I have my Christmas party in literally 8 days. So I suppose once the Christmas party starts, then that's really the time to wind down for Christmas, isn't it? So you must be on holiday soon.
Well, to be fair, in primary schools, Christmas does actually begin on December the 1st. And we don't teach. But let's not talk about my my teaching timetable at the moment after the other day.
Of course.
Yes, where we ended up... Yeah, should we go down this line now? Let's just say there was lots of DVDs and lots of bacon sandwiches. All right?
The education.
It wasn't the most strenuous day of teaching I ever had last week, but never mind. Right, moving on. Today we're going to be doing our little progress review of the season so far. We do these every 6 weeks or so. We've got a few points to ponder regarding the season so far. Before we do that, let's look at the Portsmouth game on the weekend, on Sunday. Stu, I think we both enjoyed the Portsmouth game from the comfort of our sofas in front of Sky Sports.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? It was one of those ones. Pompey, I've missed now for the last couple of seasons, actually. I think since they've been back in the League Two.
Yeah, you've not been, have you, since...
No, last year I was on a sunbed. I was in a sunbed in Tenerife, listening to our 2-0 win, and I suppose I best just stay away, because watching on TV was nice. It was interesting, wasn't it? Sky had a double header of League Two football, and I don't know if you watched the first game, Nick, the Hartlepool.
We were out of the first game, but we're back in time for our game.
It's interesting. I'm naturally biased, but I would say the quality of both games was really. It's like chalk and cheese. Hartlepool, Illinois was a typical League Two game, but I just felt the Pompey game against ourselves was probably tactically really spot on. It was two managers basically both trying to. Us trying to nullify their system and really Paul Cook then trying to outwit us with the way we were playing. And it was an interesting game. And in Holloway made many a reference to it of what a tactical battle is. But then us fans that know Neil Hardy know tactically, he doesn't really come short very many times.
He doesn't. It was an interesting watch. I imagine that for any neutrals watching it, it possibly wasn't the most exciting game for them to watch in regards of sort of goal-mouth chances or anything like that. But as Ian Holloway did reference, in terms of a tactical sort of encounter and a lot of the technical side of it as well, it was to a high standard for League Two.
It definitely was. Pompey were interesting. I've watched them a few times, and I like the way they play. They play a very expansive way. Their fullbacks push on, they get width, they play between the lines. And they have good forwards. It's interesting they've got McNulty on loan from Southend, from Sheffield United. Now that Tubbs is out injured. I thought they missed Gary Roberts. I think he's a massive player in League Two. But I think we set up really well. It was interesting the fact that we allowed their fullbacks to push on. We're quite lucky in terms of we have probably in Leeds and Fulham fullbacks that will defend and can defend well. And I felt really that was where the battle was won for us, probably up to 60 minutes, that we allowed their fullbacks to push on, but actually then in behind we gave Aziz and Taylor good quality. And in the end, they were the first to change to go to a three at the back, which I found was like a little bit of a compliment. You know, the same compliment Forest Green paid us by playing everyone behind the ball. I thought Pompey played us the ultimate compliment by changing their formation first, as it wasn't working and we had really the upper hand.
It is always a compliment when the opposition are forced to change their tactics to try and overcome whatever we've put out there. I mean, we're looking at Portsmouth as being title contenders, and they are tipped heavily to be that. We did play very, very well. I don't want to take away from how well we defended and how well we set up. But are Portsmouth likely to challenge at the top of the table without Gary Roberts, as you've mentioned, and also Matt Tubbs? Because they looked a little bit short on quality, if I'm being honest.
They did. It's difficult sometimes, isn't it, to know how much we actually made them not look as good. I think if you look at the players they have, if you go through that team, they've got some really decent League One experienced players, but Gary Roberts is really the player that sort of stands out for them. He made Chesterfield tick when they went up. But I think we have to remember, in terms of, they have people like Gareth Evans, who is a decent attacking midfielder. Also Michael Doyle, good experience in that team, and from what I've seen as a captain, leads that team really, really well. And if going up front, they were able to get Mark McNulty, who's on Sheffield United, I believe was in their first team or got top goal scorer last year. And then underneath that, even still, the subs that they can bring on, as they did yesterday, in terms of Carl Bennett, who again has got decent experience, and looks like he can be a real player. Experience-wise, he hasn't got much of League Two, but they rate him heavily. So I don't know. I think I still expect them to be top three. I really do. But I wasn't as impressed with them as I was against Plymouth. I thought Plymouth bossed us, but maybe it's a sign actually of how we've come on a little bit now, and it would be interesting now to play Plymouth and see how we developed and what we've learned, because I think we're on a good run at the moment, and it's good to see that we are now on a bit of a run. Don't count the Forest Green game. That cup games don't count. We don't bother in them. And we're 4 unbeaten now, aren't we?
We are 4 unbeaten. A couple of questions then. Jonathan Meads and Jake Reeves, are they our players of the season so far, in your opinion, or is anyone else, apart from Lyle Taylor, obviously? I thought they were outstanding once again against Portsmouth.
They were. It's interesting. I was, not to name drop, I was actually down under 21. I'm going to name drop.
Not to name drop. You never name drop, Stu. Never ever.
No, I will do. I was chatting under 21s a couple of weeks ago when they were playing the team that we shall not name. I was chatting to Will Nightingale. Yeah, not there either.
All right.
Well, I was chatting to Ron Gal's dad. He goes down to Thames once. I've sort of spoke to him a few times, and good understanding of football. Quite a level-headed guy, and we were just chatting about John Meads and thought, how good he actually was, and he openly said he thought he was the best defender we had. Very rarely gets beaten one-on-one. Actually, the more I spoke to him, the more I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I get. I was starting to think I wanted him in midfield because I thought he'd be a good foil for Reeves. But actually, at fullback, I've probably challenged people who listen to the podcast to think how many times I've actually seen him being roasted by a winger or beaten one-on-one. I can't think of it. And again, yesterday, Sunday, he didn't get beaten one-on-one. So I would say he's adaptable. I still think Reeves is a star man. He makes things tick. He really is now starting to believe how good he can be, and his confidence now is really, really high. And we need to make sure we got him on a decent contract. We really do.
Was he your man of the match against Portsmouth?
Yeah, by miles. Just because I thought he linked everything in. If you think we had a period there at the end of first half, probably between 30th to the 45th minute, where he managed to get little triangles with me, Danny Bullman, Sean Rigg, who I thought had a really good first half, playing in that role of the diamond. I just thought he makes everything tick. He always wants the ball, always in a position to receive the ball. He's my player of the season by miles at the moment.
Who had a poor game against Portsmouth, if anyone? Can you single somebody out?
No, I don't think really. I thought they all played their part. I thought the front two worked hard. Lyle Taylor probably didn't have any shots at goal from what I can remember. But I've done a good job. The good thing about Lyle is he's the old adage of defending from the front. Lyle works his proverbials off, and to be fair, so does Aziz. They do work hard, and they defend from that. They defend from the front and actually give the defence an easier time, because actually sometimes they're literally running onto lost causes and harassing the fullbacks where they can play a decent ball. Aziz, I thought, played well, good chances. But no, I can't really think of anyone that I would say had a poor game. And probably rightly so when you get a draw against a team that's third in the league at the moment.
You are listening to the 9 Years Podcast, the podcast of choice for Martin Randall and Robert Ersor.
Time to review how things are going at the club then, part of our progress review. I have 3 topics of conversation for Stu and myself to chew over, including a look back over some televised encounters of times past and the slight dip in attendances this season. But first point I wanted to come to is one that came to me last week as we interviewed prospective candidates for the Donstrust board. A recurring theme appeared to be the want or the need to involve younger people onto the board. And whilst we've praised Neil and the club for helping develop a pathway for players from the academy through to the first team, is this a bit of a red herring? Young players constitute or feature heavily on our bench at the moment, yet players don't seem to be getting the minutes on the pitch. It's almost as if we're paying lip service to the idea of a pathway from all the way through our young teams all the way through into League 2. Now, the recent signing of Ben Wilson on loan from Cardiff suggested Joe McDonnell was not deemed ready for action. And this idea has also been further embellished by the departures of George Oakley and David Fitzpatrick over recent weeks. I'm beginning to wonder if our young players are really trusted to contribute to the first team setup. A test of this, I suppose, will be against Wycombe on this Saturday, when you probably would expect to witness that Tom Beer comes into midfield in the absence of Jake Reeves, who is suspended. Do you think that's what Neil's going to go for? And if he doesn't, does that suggest Tom is not trusted really as a valued member of the squad?
It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? We obviously spoke a little while ago about McDonnell not being given a chance and Ben Wilson coming in. If you look at position-wise, if we're thinking about a kid will come in to replace somebody suspended or injured, then Tom Beard should be a man. Plays that role in under-21s, plays it very well. Is he ready to play up against Wycombe? That's probably the worry I would have. I don't think he will go for him against Wycombe. I think that's mainly because of the fact that Wycombe have a strong team, and it's probably not the right game. It shouldn't always be about the right game. You should be thinking if they're good enough, then you chuck him in. But I personally wouldn't chuck Tom in against Wickham, I probably would go with moving Meads into midfield and then moving Callum Kennedy into left back. That's probably what I would go with. And if I was a betting man, that's what I think Neil will go with.
So when is Tom going to be ready then? Or is he just making, is he and Ejikaja and Dan Gallagher and Christian Tunga, who have all been regulars on the bench over the last month or so, are they ever going to be ready then to come in? If they're not ready now, why are they involved? When does the point come where we say, do you know what, we need to actually start putting these players in the team?
I think if we look back at it, I think last year we had a squad that was a little bit high on experience, so we were paying quite a bit of money in salaries. Actually, the people were sitting there with no real better than what we had. So, prime example of that was Ross Warner on the bench. We're probably paying 2 keepers big salaries. This year we've got rid of Ross, brought in McDonnell, which goes along with, and I would imagine McDonnell, I don't know salaries, but I'd imagine McDonnell's probably about a third of what Ross is on. I think it's a case of Neil already did say, going back a bit, we would supplement the first team with our kids, and that's what he's doing. The next stage comes on, when are they ready to actually play first team? I had a look at this thinking about what players would I go with now, saying they're ready, and I probably would say ready for performances, i.e. I said on record I thought Tom Beale would get 20 games this season. Arguably, still could be not far wrong. He's had a few injuries and stuff like that. We've got to look at Will Nightingale. Will Nightingale arguably could have been first choice if it wasn't for the injury. Underneath that, we're a little bit light on them. But this thinking about are they ready? I think we've got to be realistic. We're not going to go in there and they're going to play 40 games a season. They're not that ready. Sitting on the bench, being involved in the first team, travelling with the first team, is that beneficial? I would argue it's highly beneficial. It means that now sitting on the bench becomes a bit of the norm. They're part of the first team. They're mixing around the likes of Bayo and Lyle Taylor and Danny Ball and proper pros. Going on away games, they're going and experience what it's like to go and travel somewhere else without being involved, but they're also building up that little bit of experience. So what we'd hope to is when they are going to be used, they might be using the games that there might be in Newport counties, the Dagenham and Redbridge, maybe called on for the bench or an injury. I think that experience will help, but we've got to also remember that the age of these, they're not 21s, 22s, 23s. They are in their late teens, and I would argue they're not actually that ready just yet. But it is all part of their education, part of their growth, and I'm really happy with what Neil's doing. I really am. But I think we need to be careful thinking that they are now going to be regulars and playing for 40 games. I don't think that's where they are yet.
What's of the likes of Oakley and Fitzpatrick then? What do we read into their departures? They're going on loan to get game time experience. They're doing it at sort of Conference South, Ryman Premier level. Is this what we need for them right now in their development?
Interesting question. Obviously, Oakley went to Kingstonians, and unfortunately that went wrong in terms of injury. From what I understand, played quite a few games in a period of time, and I believe a hamstring pull, wasn't he? So, and Fitzpatrick has gone to Tunbridge. Level-wise, yeah. The problem is we've got to be realistic. Would our kids go into a Conference South, or would they go into a conference? Probably unlikely, because they're the same risk that everyone else has got. But my understanding was that the reason they went on loan was because we had no under-21 games in this month. So we either had them training and then playing no games, or getting match time. So at the moment they can get match time and then proper man's league, and also training with our first team. Although to be fair, the under-21 games I think are perfect experience from them, and like I said to you before, Nick, is that get down there. I think we've got a few games coming up beginning of December, or late November, December. So I don't think this is. I think when you look at it and go, they've been pushed out on loan. Is Fitzpatrick now being pushed out the window? I don't think he is. Although I've been very surprised he hasn't been around the bench more than Wares this season.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick's been someone I would have thought would have been on the bench, featuring in the same way that Kadja and Tunga do currently at the moment. Someone who's just on the bench, who can come on and maybe have an impact in games. I don't think we're in a situation like normally, and what we've seen in my entire life supporting Wimbledon really as a football league club going back decades, whatever, is you normally get to the last few games of the season, the last half a dozen games or so, when there's not a lot to play for. The manager would start to trust chucking in some young players here and there. But are we a club at the moment that are going to lose out from chucking a Fitzpatrick in for a half here, a half there at this stage of the season, when in reality there's no pressure on us to be, realistically, let's be honest, we're not, as the song says, we won't win the league, we won't win the cup, we're not going down, we're not going up. Can we not take the opportunity in seasons like this, someone like Fitzpatrick who hasn't featured, just chuck him on and see what he can do, like, especially now we've got the injuries to Andy Barcham. We've sort of turned Callum Kennedy into a left winger as opposed to a left back, partly because of the form of Jonathan Meads, but also if you look at our wide players now, there does seem to be a lack of pace. I think that is fair to say.
Yeah, I agree. Fitzpatrick, you and I have both said it. I've seen him for under 21s, and he has roasted some teams this season, coming from deep. Played a bit more of a deeper position, played out wide. But if you give him the ball and let him run, he's probably as exciting, I believe, as someone like an Andy Barcham, who will take players on. Whereas your Tom Beer could play out wide, right? He's a little bit more methodical in what he does, better quality from dead balls. He's got a sweet strike, Tom Beer has. So I don't know. Fitzpatrick, I'm starting to, in my head, thinking players that are going to be ready to call upon. I think are trusted. Players, I believe, in that sort of category. I feel like Tom Beer, Will Nightingale, Ryan Sweeney, Christian Tunga, who's come from nowhere. I believe they're the players that Neil now trusts. And Neil does put a lot about trust. Can I trust you? If I need to call upon you, will you do a job? I sense at the moment people like Fitzpatrick, and I'm even starting to feel that with Oakley as well. I've got a feeling it could be there at the end of the season. I reckon we may get rid. That's my gut feeling, just from what I can sense and what he's doing. Underneath that, you've got people like Ejikaja, who has had a lot more exposure to the first team bench than I thought this season. But he's my tip for player that I really think will be probably the one that will really stand out. And underneath that, Danny Gallagher, who I love because the guy loves to tackle. And probably like a Danny Bullman role, I can see really pushing through. But yeah, I think the kids, we are getting to that stage now where we're going to look at probably bidding a few, and that'd be a shame. But I think also, just sort of touch on the subject, I think we also have to be realistic. We also look at other people's kids as well, don't we? And it isn't always about our first team being beneficial by the youngsters. If you look at the players we brought in on loan and ended up keeping, there's a few there that have actually made it into our first team. And just thinking also with the kids, I think what we also miss out, Nick, is that we obviously have a Cardiff link, we definitely do, and our Brentford link. But if you look at the players we had on loan in terms of George Frankham, Jonathan Meads, and also Reeves, we had him on loan and then we had to let him go because I think Brentford got injuries. They progressed into our first team. So we do a bit of a mixture of, we're aware of the kids we've got, but we're also aware of the kids that we've also been able to loan in. And just for an interesting fact, Nick, as I was doing some research, as you do, or should do you know where Michael Smith has gone now? Is he still at Swindon?
No, he's not. I heard his name on the weekend.
Yeah.
Is it something like Peterborough or something?
No, it's close. He's actually gone to Barnsley. Barnsley of all places. Barnsley of all places. He went on loan in September. He's there until January, and they've already agreed a fee for the January window. I just find it amazing that Swindon not doing really too well. Did they get a new manager? And they did, didn't they? They sacked their manager.
Martin Lingen.
Yeah, it just amazes me. They bought him for $100,000. I noticed, just by checking the goals, I noticed he wasn't playing, so I thought he was injured. And I just done a little quick check. And he went out on loan at Barnsley, which I just find amazing.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because he's had a few clubs now in a very young career. It makes you wonder. I mean, he did very, very well at Swindon, but Barnsley as well. It's an odd move to make for a club that are in trouble. Yeah,
they're in big trouble, aren't they? But it just shows you, just sometimes all about choices. He went to Swindon because they could afford him. We couldn't afford him because we couldn't really stump up. It was $80,000, $100,000 that Charlton wanted after we sort of trained him out to be a forward. It's interesting, but like I say, it's not. I think with the kids, it's a great subject, but I think we also have to remember we've we've had some good ones, and the ones that have got away, Billy Knott. That's all I say. Billy Knott at Bradford now is he's the one that I really wish we could have pushed on with Sunderland and got him, but he looks now to be having a really good career.
Similar story with George Moncur, who joined at the same time, who was a guest on the Football League show this weekend, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think a career in punditry awaits George Moncur.
No, I saw him, and I also thought that him and Jake Reeves remind me of very similar. I like the old-fashioned. It looked like he was very fashion conscious, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? Although he doesn't wear the skinny jeans like Jake Reeves does.
Well, I don't know no, but you're obviously a connoisseur of sort of youth fashion these days, obviously taking your lead from your favourite band, One Direction.
One Direction, yeah, but they split up now, so they're yesterday's news now, aren't they?
Yesterday's news. Who is on X Factor now? Don't worry, I'll give Ollie Mers a call. He'll tell me who's going to win it. He already knows, apparently. So I'm told.
Don't need envelopes now, does he?
Doesn't need to bother. He already knows who's going to win it. Anyway, talking about the X Factor and falling viewing figures, falling attendances, and we are suffering a little bit of a dip this season. Now, Forest Green, we had just under 2,500. I know that's FA Cup and it's at home against a non-league team, but it was surprisingly low, I thought, for the FA Cup, especially with reduced prices. Attendances have, as a rule, gone down this season on average. I think Hartlepool was our lowest Saturday league attendance of the season, and that's even accounting for the fact that Morecambe brought far fewer fans a couple of weeks prior to that, and our overall attendance was still down. Is there a reason for this? I can't believe it's for lack of entertainment. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I watch games differently to most other people. It does seem strange that our attendances have gone down when we do have a strong team and traditionally a very strong support in the Football League.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. We've sort of called it a few times, haven't we, where we've been there about 2:30, 20 to 3, and we're sort of looking around going, yeah, you sort of know. We know, you sort of tell we get a late people coming in. Obviously, there's seats behind the goal, or even seats on the side, people stay in the bars. So you normally look when you terrace in and you John Smith to really get an idea of, is it going to be busy or not today? I don't know, we've had a few northern teams, haven't we? I think about the likes of Morecambe and Hartlepool. Plymouth were well, to be fair, support when they come down. Yeah, we shouldn't be relying on away fans to beef our support up. I remember many days in a conference where we filled the ground out with our own fans.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know, I think we have got some good London derbies coming up, in terms of Wickham should be good. Dagenham measure midweek, alright, maybe not, but you've got Leighton Orient still due to come to our place, the Lutons this world, and so forth, and Pompey's. It would be nice to see. I don't know whether there's a reason. Maybe is it pricing? Is it a John Smith? It's just such a poor view if you're anything under 6 foot. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a shame really because when the ground's really packed, there's such a good atmosphere in that, and there's a lot of difference between 3.5 and 4.5 in that ground. It seems sometimes. But you hope we're sitting pretty in the league, 9th in the league. If we can have a good couple of months. You never know, may go into Christmas and maybe the fair weather fans that we have, every club has them, maybe they'll come out of the woodwork.
I'd agree with you. I don't think there's any doubt that should we be pushing into a playoff place over the next few weeks, and we're on the fringes now, that attendances will go back up. It is just interesting that they are down. Kingsmeadow, as you say, is not a great ground for spectators when it's full, but a successful team, if we're going up, you'd expect it to be full. And it's a bit strange, as you say, in the Conference South days and what have you, we'd regularly be pushing over 4,000. It is a little bit of a strange one, but there we go, I suppose. Such is life. I suppose attendances around the Football League in general are slightly down, as a rule. Is that also because and this might sound a bit strange one, but what are you noticing now, especially over the last decade or so, since we've had 2 up, 2 down in the conference, from the conference into the Football League, you look around now and there are a lot of new, young, traditionally non-league clubs that are now in the Football League, and you have to look at League 2 and League 1. Burton Albion, Fleetwood Town, Crawley Town, Stevenage even. These aren't traditionally, big clubs. When you can see some of the teams in the conference now, like I know the conference is starting to even itself out again. There's still some big traditional clubs in there. Wrexham, traditionally big attendances. Grimsby, traditionally bigger attendances.
No, you're right. There are. You know, in the Lincolns and stuff, and Cheltenham. You know, to be fair, Cheltenham had decent tennis. Kidderminster when they were doing well at the time.
Torquay,
Torquay. So I think you're right. I think there are a few clubs that have gone down, and you have to ask yourself the reason. I think we have to be realistic that, you know, a lot of the big clubs went down because they weren't financed properly, and your clubs like your Stevenages and Crawley, maybe a bit of finance. Dagenham come up through a bit of hard work, although interesting to see Dagenham now bottom of the League Two. But I don't mind that though, because it means Jamie Curtin ain't scoring goals, and after his a little bit of banter, shall we say, after our 4-0 defeat, will be nice to remind him of that banter when he comes back to our place. But not I hold grudges, Nick, of course. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You look at League One. I've not looked at the average attendances through the leagues, like in terms of League One. But yeah, League Two has been a little bit short on figures. But I think, like I say, there's a lot more local derby, especially in the southern sections there. So you wonder whether and when that will start to show. You know, especially for us, you know, we've got some good local derbies coming up, and looking forward to them.
Saying about falling attendances, this comes from two people that decided to save their pennies, and instead of travelling to Portsmouth, take the opportunity to watch it on television. Now, I have to say, I actually was very impressed with the coverage. The pundits, Ian Holloway and was it David Protton,
Yes.
the commentators, they were very knowledgeable actually. They'd obviously done their research. They'd worked hard in the week to get to grips and increase their knowledge of our playing staff and what's been going on. So I was very impressed by the coverage Sky offered us. And also the fact that the camera angle at Portsmouth had been restored to something that you could actually watch the game properly on. We've been on television a few times, a good number of times, as AFC Wimbledon. I think as a non-league team, we probably had over our quota, and a League Two team, to be fair. We've been on Sky quite a few times as a League Two team since returning to the Football League. I think we've had more than our quota of live appearances. Are there any games in your lifetime supporting Wimbledon that are particularly memorable, games that you've watched on television that have stayed with you?
It's interesting. I was thinking about this. I've missed a few games because I decided to watch it on TV, and it's one of the games that I actually comes to mind of. It was also a big significance to how we prepare for games. Was I remember watching when we played Coventry in the FA Cup.
Yeah, when Ross Warner got stuck in traffic.
Yeah, Ross Warner got stuck in traffic, and Seb. I mean, it's probably the end of Seb, wasn't it?
He's still alive, listeners.
Yeah,
his Wimbledon career.
As a footballer, you went to Bromley or Hampton and Richmond, and that sort of says you that your career's finished. And you know, anyone that knows me knows that I love Seb, and we'll never have a bad word about him. But that Coventry game, he was obviously Ross was stuck in traffic, and we had a cracking, from memory, 60 minutes, didn't we?
Yeah.
Made a mistake, and then ended up losing 3-1 from memory.
Yeah.
On that. But what I think, for me, what it was, significance-wise, was that it was when we actually realised that we had to be a bit more professional, and we started doing pre-match dinners, and now any midweek game, we don't leave anything to chance. We bring them in for a meal. And I think for us, it's just how we grew as a club. We sort of learned from that. Didn't moan about it. We actually learned from it, and we moved on. So I think from that, I remember it was one of the games. But yeah, what's your memories of live games, Nick?
Well, it's funny you should reference the FA Cup first round against Coventry. Obviously, there was the FA Cup first round game against Wickham on the old Setanta Sports, and that felt like a huge deal at the time. I think that was a sort of a coming-of-age moment for us when we got huge TV exposure, and the way we were treated by Setanta at the time was exciting times, I must admit. I remember being at the stadium. I didn't watch it on TV, obviously, but I just remember being at Kings Meadow when the programme started, the sort of hour build-up. Yes. And we were in the bar watching it on that, and you thought, okay, well, we're getting the good treatment. But in terms of watching games at home, not travelling to watch the games, but watching them at home, I've got some strange ones, First one that came to mind was the 5-0 defeat to Aston Villa in the Premier League, which ended our ridiculous 625-game unbeaten streak, or whatever it was at the time.
Yes.
That always stays in my memory as that wasn't a particularly pleasurable occasion, it must be said. But it was fascinating watching it on TV as it was happening. I think more, to be honest with you, I've not watched many AFC Wimbledon games live on television because I've always been there. Portsmouth might actually have been, aside from a couple on Premier Sports, like Gateshead away on a Friday night, which I had no chance of getting to. But that's not particularly memorable. They would all come back from the old Wimbledon FC days.
And it's interesting. I was thinking, it wasn't a live game, but it's one of a vivid memory I have of. It wasn't a live game; it actually was a highlights. And I think it's going back to the days when I think ITV was known as Carlton, if I remember properly.
Yeah,
Carlton Sports.
Yeah.
And listeners again will probably be able to fill the details in. But it was the year we got to the semi-finals of the League Cup, and we went to Bolton away midweek.
Yeah.
Bolton at their the old ground, which the old ground was great because there was loads of things about it. It was an old style ground. It had a massive terrace for the away fans. It also had a massive dip, which for those of you, God bless his soul, Stanley Reid. I remember the game well because Stanley, as he would always come over to the away fans, and as he was coming over to the away fans, you could tell the steward was going, "Stanley, be careful, be careful," and the bloke nearly slipped down a massive ditch, which, to be fair, is ripely aged.
Hold on, sorry, Stu, can I stop you there? Somebody lost their footing on a grass bank away at Bolton.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and it was a Stanley Reid, but yeah, I'm sure that story we will have more at other times.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. But I think the memorable thing for me at Burton was it was highlights. We won 2-0 up there.
Yeah, Leonardo score.
I believe it was Leonardo, I think Robbie L from memory. But the thing that I remember was that this terrace probably could hold I reckon, pretty close to 2, 3, 4,000. We must have done well to take a couple of hundred up midweek. And I remember getting back, recording the game, and I remember when we scored one of the goals, we did a surge. And I think the only reason we did a surge was because it was so cold. But because there was nobody in front of us, the surge just ended up us moving down the whole way of the terracing. And I remember them showing us on the Australian away fans. It was so cold. It was one of those games that you huddled together as close as you could. And when any chance you got to move and celebrate, you just did. But it's one of the things that vividly went back in my mind. And to be fair, that Wimbledon team was really good that time as well. And we got to the semis that year.
Yeah, I remember. I do actually recall watching the highlights of that game because it did look, when they showed our fans celebrating, I didn't travel, when they showed our fans celebrating, it did look like it was this absolutely rammed terrace with nowhere to move and we'd taken thousands of fans, but it's just the way they shot it. It seemed like the best away crowd ever. On a similar note, the season we got to the semi-finals of both competitions, 96-97, we had an FA Cup quarter-final away at Sheffield Wednesday. I didn't travel at the time, but I watched it on BBC. And yeah, that was a great watch. That was an interesting watch I wasn't expecting to win that game.
The Sheffield Wednesday game was really, really good in terms of we took quite a few fans up there as well. We had some good cup memories back then as well, didn't we? We had a really, really good cup team. Where's all that gone?
I don't know. We've, as we say, our cup record has deserted us over the last few seasons, really. I'm sure it will return. I'm sure we'll get to the final of the Johnson's Page Trophy one day and the FA Cup third round again soon and what have you. But thank you very much, Stu. Right, from favourite cup memories and having a bit of nostalgia, I suppose we're going to have a little 9 years podcast nostalgia. If we can be nostalgic about our podcast on episode 17. But it's time to bring back the birthdays game.
Yay!
Now, feedback was mixed to whether we should bring this back or not. This might just be a one-off. We might rotate it with different games from week to week. But we thought, you know what? As the feedback was so mixed, some people love it, some people hate it. It's like Marmite, but sort of a inexpensive pound shop own brand sort of version of Marmite. It is the birthdays game. So, Stu, I've got 3 birthdays. 2 people you would have actually heard of, and obviously one you wouldn't. I think you might have a good chance with these today. Let's see how many you can get out of 3, alright? So let's start with former Hollyoaks actress, Gemma Atkinson.
Ooh, I actually know this person, this Gemma Atkinson. Yeah, she was a good actress, wasn't she?
I have no idea.
No, I can tell. She must be in her 30s now, I reckon. I reckon she's probably around about 30, 32.
Oh, Stu, you're so close. I thought you were going to get it then. She's 31. That is close, though. You've been improving on this game, I feel.
Well, you give me someone I know this time.
Either that or you bought the mirror.
No, I don't buy them. I don't buy paper. Who actually buys the paper now, Nick?
Me.
Do you not get it online? I'm a Sun reader. I get my Macy through my tablet.
Yeah, but
downloaded every morning.
I like the tactility of a newspaper. I like the feel of a newspaper and the feel of a book. I can't replace it.
Technology, Nick. Technology.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm quite happy being old before my time, I like. Next one then, Paul Scholes. You may have heard of him. Not anymore.
Paul Scholes. I'm trying to think now. So he retired. Yeah, definitely a ginger guy. So he retired. I don't think actually now when he retired. I reckon he must be close to his 40th, but no, he's not that old. He must be 38.
Surprisingly, and I'm surprised at this one, and we are taking the Daily Mirror's word for it here, 41.
Yeah,
he did retire and he came back, didn't he, for a little bit, and that was a few years ago now, worryingly.
We did. I worked on the age. He must be very similar, close to my age, because I remember when he first came on the scene.
38.
Yeah, but I was trying to think when maybe he wasn't as old. But I do remember him coming on the scene, because if people that are of my age remember that he actually started as a forward for Man U, and then they withdrew him back. But I remember him very much when I was around the similar age at Sport Wimbledon, that he was a young forward. So yeah, it's probably about right. Probably about right.
Are you saying it's probably about right that you cannot factually argue, Stu? He's 41.
Well, yeah, we're trusting in the mirror. Got it right, of course we are. So what would I do to disbelieve the mirror? Yeah, it's probably about right. So what did I say? 38.
You said 38 and he's 41. So
it's not bad, is it? It's not bad, is it? I'll give that.
You're 4 years out in total at the moment, so that's not too bad.
Not bad.
What about Mirror reader Joyce Avery from Gateshead, Tyne and Weir?
Joyce. These Mirror people, the Mirror don't even, like, you think they give the 100th birthday, but they do such random birthdays, don't they? Joyce ain't a young name, is it? It can't be. I know we generate old names, don't we? But Joyce can't be one of them. I reckon Joyce must be in her retiring age. So I reckon around about 65.
Do you know what? You've done well today, Stu. She's not, but she's not far off. She's 63. And I would just like to congratulate her, because I think that must be the oldest person still alive in Gateshead.
Gateshead's not that bad, is it, really? For what I did do Gateshead away when we were in the league, but I heard Gateshead was happening. Well, actually, no, it wasn't really that happening. It was Newcastle that was happening, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so it's near Newcastle, isn't it? So yeah, poor Joyce. But happy birthday, Joyce.
Happy birthday, Joyce. This is the beauty of the birthdays game, because actually you got 0 out of 3, but you weren't far off yet. Sort of you get like an A for effort. You were very close to many of those. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Right. Quickly then, let's do a quick sign off. We have got 2 games this week. Wycombe, our good friends Wycombe, on Saturday, and then the following Tuesday we have got Dagenham and Redbridge visit us at Kings Meadow in a handicap match. By that I mean it's 2 teams against 1. It's not really fair, but hopefully maybe one of Dagenham or Redbridge will forget to turn up and it'll be a little bit fairer. Despite this, they're still bottom of the league. But quick prediction, let's not go for Dagenham because that's in the future, but quick prediction for Wycombe?
Wycombe, I'm thinking that our form, they're a decent team. Wycombe won 4 on the road already, but I'm thinking we're going to carry on our good form and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
I am having a terrible time with predictions. My prediction for Portsmouth was terrible. Wycombe, now, have you noticed this, Stu? Have you noticed that our goal scoring over the last few games, we scored 4 against Accrington, then 3 against York, then 2 against Hartlepool, then 1 against Forest Green, and then 0 against Portsmouth. So I reckon we're going to start to bounce back up. And I will go for a 1-1 draw.
Sitting on the fence. We're not even sitting on the fence, are we? We're just going for a draw. No, we've got to beat Wickham. It'd be nice to. I don't really like Wickham. I don't know. It's really bad, isn't it? But as they sort of come, I do hope this time that they come to Kings Meadow with some studs on their boots.
This is a problem, especially if it's going to stay as it has been. They will be keep staying on their feet will be an issue.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I hope they do it. I hope they've learned, that you need to put some, even blades or studs. Do you know what I mean? When you're playing up against playing it. So let's hope they stay on their feet this time, mate.
Now, updates will be available through the Dons player via Radio WDON as always. You can also get updates on Saturday on the Periscope app and Twitter at AFCW Scope. Quick reminder before we go as well that the Dons Trust Board election is still up and running, and if you have not voted yet, please do so. Voting closes at 11:59pm on Monday the 7th of December. And remember, if you're not sure of any of the details, visit the Dons Trust website at www.thedonstrust.org or email the election steering group coordinator John Dolan, elections@thedonstrust.org. Also, I'd like to make a quick thank you to the WAP Guestbook for helping promote the show over the last few weeks. It is much appreciated, guys. Thank you very, very much. And thank you again for listening. Thank you, Stuart, for joining me.
Thank you, family.
And everyone, please have a good weekend. Catch us next week when we'll be joined by Sky News' Kay Burley to discuss her role as a judge on next year's Miserable Crufts dog show. We will see you then.